Welcome to Southwick, round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. We have beefed up security at MX 338 to make sure Hurricane Irene doesn't get in the door. We want to have good racing, and we'll be here to cover it. Here's your preview show. It's the Racer X Motocross Show on AllySports.com. Coming up next. Welcome to the Racer X Motocross Show at AllySports.com, round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, coming your way from MX 338 at Southwick, Massachusetts. You got Paul Lindsay here and Jason Wygan here for one of the most legendary races on this tour, and I'd say for sure the most unique. There are sand tracks all over the world. There's only one pure sand track on this schedule. And even if we had those other sand tracks on this schedule, they're nothing like Southwick. It's totally different.
Southwick is its own monster. Everybody knows it. I mean, this place, sand, a little hard underneath, really rough. It's a man's track for sure, and it's going to be an awesome weekend. I cannot wait for this weekend's race.
Yeah, and I know the big story right now is Hurricane Irene, but all weather forecasts point to Irene will not hit this area until Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. Should not have an effect on the race at all. There is some rain in the forecast for tomorrow, not because of the hurricane. It's summertime, and we have had rain here before. This track usually holds up better than most in rain.
Yeah, it can take a little bit of moisture. It's not going to kill it. It would take a lot of rain. And we heard earlier Irene was standing in line trying to buy a pit pass. Apparently couldn't get in.
Bam.
Irene, sneak under the fence. It's what I used to do when I was 12. That big security guy up there won't let Irene in without a pit pass. That's the latest word we got.
Yeah, Ralph, who operates this track, said Irene is not allowed in. So we will have good racing conditions tomorrow. And this track and this series, pivotal right now because two riders have really seized the momentum in this tour.
Unbelievable. I miss a week and all hell breaks loose. Dean Wilson and Ryan Villopoto, where have you been all summer? If you rewind to the beginning of the season, a lot of people were saying it should be Dean Wilson and Ryan Villopoto, maybe arguably dominating the series. They were leading the points, but very quietly, Dean Wilson 0 wins, Ryan Villopoto only a handful, and then all of a sudden, last week they do what a lot of people expect them to do. They sweep all 4 motos, and they're firmly now in control of the points with 3 rounds to go.
Right, so everyone's going to have to respond this weekend if they want a shot at the championship. Get a little idea of how Southwick's going to shape up. Let's talk to one of our 250 riders who has some insight in riding in the sand and hopes that maybe this race can help turn his summer around. Let's talk to Cole Seeley.
Summer's been pretty good. Had its ups and its downs, you know, just trying to find my speed in the outdoors. I had a great Supercross season this year, and been struggling a little bit with outdoors, so I've been doing a lot of testing, a lot of training, and trying to improve on that. Southwick is obviously sand, rough. I mean, by the second moto, the track's usually just beat and really good workout, but you know, hearing about storms coming in this weekend, hopefully they hold up, but yeah, it should be good weekend for racing. Kind of a better sand rider than I am like when it comes to hard pack, so hopefully, you know, my natural ability kicks in.
All right, Mr. Seeley had a couple of wins in Supercross, has not quite been up to that par outdoors, and he didn't change anything coming into this race specifically to get ready for sand. Talk about how different riding on a sand track would be for a technical rider like that. You can't get much further from Supercross on this track.
Well, you know, it's interesting you bring that up. I've seen Josh Hansen. Yes, folks, I said Josh Hansen win practice here. Fastest qualifying lap at Yamaha
Really?
Troy. I forget my years.
Yeah.
But it can happen. Sometimes guys just like this stuff. It's a very technical track. You have to be in shape, obviously. We'll see how Cole Seeley does tomorrow, but you're right. Big contrast from Supercross, no doubt.
Now, in that class, you mentioned it before we went to the interview, Dean Wilson has really kind of taken control of this series. The question is, can Blake Baggett strike back? If he can't get a win this weekend, he might be out of reach. And if you're Tyler Rattray, it already is starting to get out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, that last weekend obviously changed a lot of things. We went from 3 guys, you could throw a blanket over them. All of a sudden, Dean Wilson has a comfortable 25-point lead, I believe, and even bigger over Rattray, who could have become only the second South African to win a world title, or only person, period, to win a world MX2 title and a 250 title over here. It ain't over till it's over. 3 rounds to go, 6 motos, a lot of points up for grabs, and you're right, Baggett, he's still on a roll. He's still a guy that's been a little up and down, but he's right there, and it's definitely not over till Pala.
Yeah, it's always been a good track for Rattray, though. He's won motos here before and an overall last year, so he could do it, but he needs some help in points. One other rider to talk about is the 4th member of that Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. Brock Tickle, a lot of talk about him, not involving racing, but he's in a tough situation. We are hearing that he may not be eligible to ride light Supercross next year, so he might have to shop around for a 450 deal. This is very strange.
Well, I believe he's wrapped up either way for next year. It's just a matter of what class he's going to ride.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else needs to make room under their tent for him, is the word I'm hearing.
Right.
A lot of team managers, obviously Mitch Payton lobbying to get that little tweak, little loophole in the rule change. 3 years and you're out if you win a championship in your third year.
Yeah.
It would have happened to Josh Hansen.
Yep.
Ironically, Josh doesn't win the title, and he's not pointed out. That's the irony of that rule. And they've done a lot of work to try to clarify it over the years, but inevitably something like this happens.
Okay, so there's drama on the track as far as the championship goes, and then off as far as some contracts go with that team. But let's focus on the 450s now, and a rider we're going to talk to who might have the best insight onto this track is one of the locals, and we know if there's one track that's known for producing local superstars for one afternoon, it's this one. So let's talk to New England's own Robby Marshall.
I've just been doing the whole Canadian series. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do the last 2 West rounds, just as broke my collarbone, came back a little late, and tried to race the first 2 rounds. It was a little too sore, so started back up at Gopher, and had some good rides, top 5s about all year, but just knew I should have been on the box, and by the end I was on. I got 3rd the last round, so pretty good. End of the year pretty solid, and bringing momentum into Southwick. This is the hometown race, and I feel like every year this is what I work for, is just for this one race, but I put everything into every race I do, and I've done a lot of the right things, and I'm prepared for this rain. Bring the monsoon, leave it dry, 95 degrees. I don't care what the weather is. Hometown race, plenty of momentum, good confidence, and just ready to go. I'd like to be up there battling, get good starts, and just do what we do.
Now you might be saying after that, Robby Marshall. They're interviewing Robby Marshall, but that's the way it works at this track. Robby actually was running 3rd at a moto here, I think 2 years ago, and he crashed late. There has been many, many legends, New England-wise, who have had great performances for one day here on this track.
This is like the playground legend track of all the tracks on the national circuit. This is it. Think Pat Barton, think Tony LaRusso. A lot of guys have led motos here, and fans are going, they just don't believe it. There are local guys out there checking out on the field, but hey, Barcia's local here too. Let's not forget that. And the newly 46-year-old turned John Dowd coming out trying to save that number 16.
Yeah, we'll see. Dowd needs to be, I think, top 10 in both motos to make it happen. But a lot of people buzzing on Barcia. Here's the question. He could win out here, possibly, or he could not be strong enough to put in 2 30-minute and 2-lap motos on what should be a very rough track. Very hard to figure where Barcia's going to fit in here.
A lot of debate about that. I think a lot of people recognize that he has the speed. He showed last weekend, or 2 weeks ago, he has the speed. Can he do it for 30+2? We'll see. He's definitely going to be fast on that 450 here on his home track, and he's won a moto here, so I know he's excited to do it, that's for sure.
Now what we're hearing is this could be the roughest track of the year because all the tracks have been a little bit rougher this year than the last few years. The way they've changed the track maintenance, they've made the tracks rougher, and then we know Southwick, compared to most tracks, is rougher than the rest. So if the first 9 rounds of this tour were tough, this one's going to be a true test, so we wonder if Barcia can go the distance. Meanwhile, if you're Ryan Dungey, Chad Reed, is there time to get back in this championship? If you're Dungey, you're not far back in points, but you can't let Villopoto get out like he did last time.
Definitely, no doubt about it. It's crunch time. Dungey's only 7 points back. Reed, he's had his issues since Millville. It's been a tough break for him. But obviously, Barcia and they're separating some things. You never know what could happen. And like you said, I think those guys, Barcia's going to have his work cut out for him to keep Dungey and Villopoto, the 2 most notorious trainers, in sight for those 30+2. And Reed's definitely going to have his hands full to catch back up to. I think he's 23, 25 points out.
It's amazing how quickly things change. Folks, of course, you can watch the first motos tomorrow live on Fuel TV. We're on East Coast time, so that'd be at 1 o'clock Eastern, 2 straight hours on Fuel TV. And then Saturday night, we'll have coverage of both motos on Speed. So it shouldn't be too hard for you to keep up with, or just check out allysports.com. We got the full TV listing right there. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk to one of our top riders and get his take on Southwick. Paul will be back with his Under the Radar segment. And you said you really get excited because this is the type of track where you see great things happen midway through the race, midway through the pack.
Oh, yeah, I'm just loving it. Maybe missing Unadilla is what I needed. I'm excited for this weekend, and you're right. There's going to be a lot of great racing all through the top 20 in this track.
Coming out and join us. Hurricane Irene will not be here until the fans are long since gone. So it's not too late to drive on up and pay us a little visit in the sandbox. And we'll see you tomorrow on allysports.com. Thanks for watching.